Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me to come today and present. I think it's going to be a little bit different presentation than what you have seen so far, just from the little glimpse I got earlier this afternoon. But yes, my name is Mary Ulrich, and I'm the Executive Director of the Workforce and Community Engagement Division at Doña Ana Community College here in Las Cruces. And our division is a little bit different. I'll talk about it a little bit. I also, for this presentation, I was thinking kind of generally about workforce development and some of the challenges that we're facing in Doña Ana County, but also nationally. So if you're from other areas, you might be facing these as well. And then some of the opportunities. The opportunities are more some of the local opportunities that I have seen over the 8 years I've worked at DACC. Some of the ways that we can recruit from the community for workforce jobs, good jobs, and encourage people to upskill or reskill to get those jobs. So just a little snapshot of DACC. We have 6 locations throughout Doña Ana County. We have over 100 certificate and degree programs, associate degrees, about 8,000 plus students at any given time during the year. And I think that means we're the second largest community college in the state. Of course, CNM is bigger than anyone else, so can't compete there. We do have adult education programs. I'll speak a little bit more about the opportunities with adult education, where people are learning English as a second language or getting their high school equivalency, both credentials that are very important for the workforce. And those programs are really focus on workforce training. We have a small business development center, and then of course, workforce and customized training. And that's the area that I'm most connected to at the college. And we sponsor or promote internships and recruiting, and especially job placement. It does nothing to train a bunch of people if they don't go get the job. And unfortunately, underemployment is a huge issue across the United States. About 54% of graduating seniors are underemployed after a year from graduation. It's a startling statistic. And then at DACC, we have 61% female and 39% male. That's also a very common split in higher education at the moment, and certainly an opportunity to recruit more men to college. And then our average age and a little bit older student. And okay. So in my division, we focus on assisting in developing a resilient workforce. We focus on seeking or gaining economic mobility opportunities for people in the community, young people, but also their parents or even grandparents. So we kind of cast a wide net when we're looking at student populations. There's a focus on good jobs, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that really means. And then we want to be a trauma-informed division. And how many people have heard trauma-informed? Is that out there much? Yeah, a couple of people. So really what that takes into consideration is that instead of asking, I think Oprah said it like this, I'll quote Oprah here, instead of asking what's wrong with you or what's wrong with you, my employee who can't show up on time and stuff like that, you ask what happened to you. And so people are acting from untreated trauma, I guess. So our role at the college, we really see ourselves as I mentioned, supporting community members to get better jobs and increase their family's economic mobility by increasing English language skills, work skills, developing their career and job knowledge. For example, about careers in water technology. It's not out there in the community. People don't really understand what is that. And we focus on job placement, like I mentioned. We do focus on certifications, like industry recognized certifications. and also high school equivalency credentials, and developing their small business or growing a small business. So we try to connect with employers and community organizations to do this work. We host events on campus. We connect employers to DACC students and graduates, and then participate in community outreach events to reach our target population. So in general, I think you'll recognize some of these things, or some of these things might resonate with you, but the challenges for facing workforce development currently, kind of nationally, is one, we have a decline in birth rate. And we have an aging population. The silver tsunami has hit. And most industries complain about that immediately, that all our people are 60, they will be retiring in the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years. And there's actually, in New Mexico, there is it's called negative natural change, or there's not a replacement by births are not replacing people who have died. So the only way we grow our workforce or grow our demographics in general in New Mexico is through immigration or migration, by attracting people from other states. Also, another consideration is labor force participation rate decline. And what this means is, one of the labor force participation rate is how many people above 16, 16 years and above, who are actively seeking work or are employed. And what we found not me, but what I've read, is prime age men, ages 25 to 54, their labor force participation rate is declining. So from 1980 to present, it has declined from 94% participation in the labor force to just 89%. And it may sound like, well, 89, that's pretty good, but it represents 2.6 million individuals who are not seeking work or not working. So it's a very curious thing, what's happening. And there's some theories, but that's definitely a population that I think we need to recruit into higher ed and into training programs, maybe short-term training, and I'll get a little bit more into that. New Mexico does have a low labor force participation rate comparatively to the US, and it's 57% compared to the US of 62. Another challenge in Doña Ana County is that we have a lot of people who have some college, no degree, or less in terms of educational attainment. It's about 64.9%, 65% have some college, no degree, or less education. So that's both an issue for us in higher tech fields or in workforce development, but it's also an opportunity. And then in general, there's a decline in post-secondary, traditional post-secondary enrollment. I wanted to pull this, I pulled this from ONET. These are, DACC has a wastewater treatment program or water technology program. And you can see that it's really small, but in our program, we've graduated one person with a certificate in the last, I think this is 2022 to 23, and 10 associate's degrees. And I don't feel like that's replacing the people out there who are retiring or the need. So again, there's opportunity here. How do we get people connected to these training opportunities? And then I included Santa Fe, but I'm not sure if their program is active. It has 0 for that year, but it could be that they have sunsetted that program. I'm not sure, but I included it because it's part of New Mexico. These were the only 2 training programs that came up in ONET for wastewater and water. Last year, an organization in town did a survey of our residents. And what they found was, they asked, like, what services do you need and do you have difficulty getting those services? So this is the service of job training. So throughout our county, 34% said, yes, I need job training services. And out of those 5%, 44% said they have difficulty accessing those services. So there's a disconnect because we have a major university here. We have a huge community college. We have other kinds of training programs. So why are people having difficulty still accessing those? So that's a challenge for us. And then in terms of increasing participation, we also found this data. Hispanic residents were more likely to say, I need job training services. And men, this is encouraging. This was very encouraging to me because men said, yes, they were more likely to say, yes, I need job training services. So I see that as an opportunity to recruit more men into training programs. And then people from lower income. And like I said, in my division, we're focused on economic mobility. So we're really targeting people in those low wage jobs who could upskill or reskill and get a higher wage job, like in water treatment or something like that. So I just mentioned that. Adults, here are the opportunities I see. Recruiting adults. 18-year-olds, they're going, the population is declining of 18-year-olds. Let's not worry about them too much anymore. Let's go for people 25 to 65 who are looking for better opportunities, or 50. But one thing about adults is we do need wraparound services to help them to meet their basic needs so they can access training. Accessible training, hybrid, online training, short training programs, flexible scheduling. People aren't signing up for a semester of work at a time. They want a 2-week, 5-week, a short training with multiple entry and exit points. And then in our department, we also provide English language training concurrently with workforce training. So students don't have to wait until they learn English or wait until they get a high school equivalency. They can do the training at the same time. And that's called integrated education training. Another approach that we're trying to emphasize is a career pathway approach. So you may take a short-term certificate. It may be 10 weeks. You also get like a forklift certification at the same time. And then you can see, though, I can go to the workforce or I can also continue my education. You have that short-term success, and then you can continue. And I thought this last question is, in career advising, there's kind of a shift. And an organization out of Canada, I think, it's called SparkPath, they have come up with this, that instead of asking people, what do you want to do? What job do you want to have? Like the job title type thing, they ask, what problem do you want to solve? And I thought that was really appropriate for this because we are all trying to solve this problem. And a lot of people in our community probably do care where their water is coming from or what their goals, what they're drinking. And so focusing on that, I think, helps people gain access to different types of jobs. And then I'll mention the good jobs. So the MIT Living Wage Calculator calculates that $24 an hour is a livable wage for a family of 4 to working adults. And but it's not just about wages. So we do need to increase wages for people, but it's also things like healthcare, benefits, elder care, childcare, and also flexible work schedules or opportunities for career development. These are all characteristics of good jobs. I think that's my last slide.